Namaste
Namaste! Namaste
Techies!
Techies! Namaste Anoop!
Namaste Harjit!
Hello, hello.
Hi!
So we're back again with another episode of our awesome show. And we're just going to keep the momentum going here with sharing and caring, right? With technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've been getting a lot of feedback for our shows, the content, and things like that, and which is amazing, which is awesome. So please continue to do that. Share them with us and let us know what you want us to talk about in the future. If you find something wrong with our information or videos or some praises, we'd love to we'd love to see that. So
Yeah. Please comment the details in the comment section, right? So if
exactly.
you want to see some more stuff from us, probably you can put that in the comment section. And if we are seeing if we are saying something wrong, probably you can put that feedback also in
Yes,
the comment
absolutely.
section, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. We learn from mistakes, right? We make mistakes. We are humans, and you know, sometimes what works for us in our environments may not be necessarily true for other people. So it's good to have all perspectives. But
Yep.
thank you. So we got a good show today. What are we gonna dive into today?
So we are going to talk about client actions today.
Yes.
Let's start from the basics, right?
So client actions. We're talking about config manager client actions here. So if anybody trying to figure this out, uh, this is generally these actions they trigger based on time and policies and stuff like that. But then you as an end user have the ability to initiate actions to speed things up and do different things. So Anoop has written a really awesome blog post just about maybe a few days ago, a week ago. We're going to start with that. And then Anoop's going to dive into a little bit of a demo and show you what they are. And we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
All right. Go
Let's
ahead.
get started.
Excuse the delay. Anoop's in India, so it takes a little longer to get there.
Basically, this was the blog post Harjit was talking about. I mentioned um, basic components of configuration manager client, and
Yeah.
what are the three statuses which are displayed in this particular in all for all these particular components, right? So
Yeah.
there are basically three statuses. One is disabled, enabled, and installed, right? What are the difference between these three, right?
Yep.
Disabled means probably this is disabled from your client settings, right? Enabled means this is enabled from the client settings. Okay, this particular component is enabled and it's working fine. um, when it says installed, and it is not enabled, it is not disabled, it just says enabled, sorry, installed, then that means um, probably there is some issue with communication of that component, or this is not configured in the client settings or something like that, right? So in this installed scenario, probably we might need to do some kind of troubleshooting to understand why it is just installed, right? Why? So some of the components are core components, right? Like CCM policy agent, as you can see over here. So this is core component, and I don't think we should get any enabled status over here. It should be installed, and because this is a core component, right?
Yeah.
uh, but the others are kind of additional features, something like a software inventory agent, right? We can disable and enable these components. That is why it is coming as enabled, right? And if we disable remote tools from the client agent, you can see that that component status is as disabled, right? So now I have a different blog post here, right? And in this blog post, I was talking particularly about hardware inventory collection cycle. Okay. And if you trigger this particular cycle, what will happen? What are the background processes
Mhm.
which are getting triggered? So all these details are explained here with some of the log snippets,
Right.
right?
All the logs that you need to check for that.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go into the demo, right?
Right.
And show something from the console, right? So when I talk about client settings, so this is the client settings. So for example, software inventory. For this lab, I have disabled the software inventory, right? As you can see over here, no. And the other example I have disabled is software metering. Okay, so these are the two examples I just wanted to show as disabled from the client setting. Now let's move to the
The client.
client. Yep. True. If my connection is okay. Okay. So good. Okay. So let's get into
So,
component.
so
Yeah.
a couple
Go.
of a couple of things. Those that don't know, if you're very new to Config Manager, but um, uh, the way to get to this is what we call the Config Manager applet. There's two ways to get to it, or well, there's other ways to get to it, but two main ways to get to it is through Control Panel, and then you can either search for Config Manager, or you can go to Control Panel, System, and then it shows up in your. Um, I mean, depending on the view of your Control Panel, it'll show up. So that's one way. The second way is through a shortcut that you can run, and you can also create a shortcut on your desktop. So I don't know if you want to show them that or you just want to get right to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably we will get right to it.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I have trouble with my connectivity also, it seems. So let's let's go ahead and show the component things first, right?
Yep.
So if I go with components, as you can see over here, some of the components are disabled, right? Remote tools, that is disabled because my client settings, from the client settings I have disabled it. And software inventory, uh, as you have seen in the console, it is disabled. That is why it is showing us disabled over here. Same for software metering, right? Okay. Other components are enabled, and the installed components are basically shared components, and operating system deployment components, core components. So these are the core components. So that is why it shows us installed. But for example, if you see something like software metering agent is as installed and not enabled or disabled, then probably we might need to do some kind of troubleshooting, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Now let's move to the client actions. Okay. So in client actions, as you can see, there are 8 client actions over here. I don't know, Harjit, you have seen more client actions than
Yeah, I
this?
think the minimum
Okay.
client actions you see is 8, but then there are, I've seen, 10 or 11 client actions as well. And, these generally, like as you were mentioning about the components and stuff like that, they're coming from your client settings, the things that you have enabled and deployed through your client settings. Then you start seeing those action items here. For example, the remote control action and stuff, right?
Yep.
So,
Okay.
but for basic level, this is what you should see.
Yep. So let's kind of try to enable or try to trigger some policies from here, right? So what is the use of client actions? As Harjit pointed out before at the start of this one, if you want to immediately trigger the policies, right? If you don't want to wait for the client to trigger the policy on a particular schedule, the schedule is fixed or configured at the client setting level, right? For example, mission policy retrieval, that is basically 60 minutes, right? That is the default configuration, right, for mission policy retrieval and evaluation. So in troubleshooting scenarios, so if you want to troubleshoot some of the scenarios or some of the issues, then if you want to immediately trigger the mission policy and check what is happening in the device or mission, Windows 10 mission, right? And how we can resolve the issue, etc. So these are the things very useful for that kind of troubleshooting scenarios, right?
And testing purposes too, because
Mhm.
like you mentioned, like some of the policies, for example, machine policy and stuff, that's default at 60 minutes. So if you don't want to wait around for your machines to kind of talk back and get what it needs to do, that changes that you made, this is where you come to trigger things to make um, to speed things up, to tell SCCM that, hey, I've got some actions I want you to take. Uh, it's generally known that Config Manager is slow, right? It does things very slow because it randomizes things. It's got different policy settings and schedules and things like that. So this is the kind of the tool that you use.
Exactly. And for example, if I want to check my application deployment status, right, what is happening with the deployment, or user uninstall some application, or if I want to reevaluate the application deployment cycle, evaluation cycle, you can click on that particular action and click on run now, right? Why I have opened the
The
log
logs.
folder over here, because I want to see what is happening in the log file in the background, right? So this is very useful. And you need to remember that if you can sort this thing, log files, with date modified, then that would be great to understand, like, which is the latest updated log. And probably you will get a lot of clue from that particular log what is happening in the background when I click on application deployment evaluation cycle, for example, right? So let's run that, and let's see now what is happening, right? As you can see, there are lots of logs triggered, right? DCM
Yep.
reporting log triggered, and application discovery log will come up soon, right? And if you open up some of these logs, you would be able to see there are some policy checks happening, and reports are being sent to the server, like evaluation done successfully, etc., right?
Hmm.
So one of the particular log I wanted to look over here is SMS, if I can check. Okay, so this is one of the log, uh, very important log over here, as you can see. If I can go down somewhere, um, 470, right? I triggered this um, application deployment evaluation around 417, and let me go up a bit and see when did we start. Okay, wait. Oops. Uh, okay, wait.
Right
Okay,
there.
so application global evaluation task. This is what got initiated when we clicked on that run now action. So it triggered around 417, right? And it got lot of things going on. It is checking all the baselines, etc., for each of the application deployed for in this particular device, right?
Mm.
So these kind of analysis are very useful when you troubleshoot some scenarios, like application deployment is failing, etc., etc., right? And the other log which you can look into is application discovery log, right? Over here also you would be able to see normally um, what is happening, what are the checks going on, what are the evaluation conditions, requirements,
Hmm.
detection, all those things are being checked over here, and it is getting confirmation for all the applications, right? So this is very busy log. Okay, so that was about the application deployment evaluation. And if you for example, if you are having trouble with patching, right, software updates, then if you can kind of run this action, right, and probably you would see a lot of evaluations and checks are going on to find out the WSUS location, WSUS server, and then it will run the scan, and then it will done the update deployment and check which are the patches getting already installed, or is there any pending patches on the device or something like that, right?
Right.
So let's run this also, right, and check what is happening. Okay, let me go up over here, and as you can see,
Yep.
client SMS, the client UI log is already opened, and I think this is the one. No, this is not the one. This is the one, and you would be able to see something over here. So as you can see, software update assignment evaluation cycle got initiated around 4:20. Okay,
Mhm.
and now if I go to deploy update deployment, where is it? Okay, give me a sec. Update deployment. Okay, update deployment log. um 4:20, right? It got triggered around 4:20, and if I go back to 4:20 and see what is happening, okay, 4:20. So you can see lot of things are being checked now, right? For
Yeah.
example, it is checking, evaluating whether this particular patch is installed or not, right? So for example, cumulative update for Windows 10 2004. So it is doing lot of work when we run this particular action, right? And one more important thing I just wanted to show you is location services.log. So in location services.log, you would be able to see at around the same time it might have triggered, right? Oh, for this time it's not triggered. Normally it should trigger the location. Okay, the location search, and it will search for the WSUS location, right? And for my lab environment, this is the WSUS location, and you would be able to see this one, right? It got the location and it provided the location back to the other components which are looking for this information. And the other the a log file is scan agent.
Scan
Scan
engine,
ag-
yes.
yeah, scan agent is the other log file which will get triggered, and it will complete the scan and send the status back, right?
Yep.
Okay, I think these are the main kind of the
Yeah.
components and logs which you can look into.
I think
You want?
the one of the biggest tips you gave here is that if you're trying to figure out what logs to look at, instead of going to blogs and all that stuff, is definitely opening up the log folder and then set it to the modified view and then run your action, and then you should start seeing what is being updated, and that will pinpoint you to look at those particular logs. For example, like the scan agent and update store and things like that, depending on what actions you're running. So
Mhm.
that's a good good tip. um, So now, I don't think we need to go through, all the actions, but
Yeah.
this is basically. So, for example, the way I use these actions is that when I'm trying to deploy an application or an updated application that I want to, make sure, my test machines, it received it and it installed it properly. So, and I don't want to wait, right? So
Mm.
I'll deploy from the console. Excuse me, and uh, and then I'll come to a client machine, and then I'll initiate like the machine policy and then the application policy, to just speed things up and try to get, like it's almost like waking the person up, like say, hey, we got to get
Yeah.
going, kind of thing, and then start watching it, and then I'll look in Software Center and see whether that application has showed up or not, and if it showed up, is it starting to install? Is it starting to download? Is it doing something? And then I can dive into the logs as well. So these are
Yeah.
good things to have. And so one thing we should mention is that occasionally, and it does happen, that when you uh, open up the config manager applet, you will not see all the actions, but you'll only see two. You'll see a
Yep.
machine policy and you'll see the user policy.
Yep.
And why is that, Anoop?
So
And how
basically,
do we
that's
troubleshoot?
that's a great question, right? And I think that is because of your configuration issues or component issues at the server level, or basically the client is not getting the policies, right? That is the
Yes.
main reason for that. So why client is not getting the policies? There could be several reasons for that, right?
Many
So one,
reasons. Yeah.
yeah, many reasons for that. One could
Yeah.
be boundary issues, boundary group issues.
Boundaries. Yes.
Yeah, you have not assigned the proper boundary groups, or the client's IP address or AD site is not coming in the boundary groups, or something like that, right? Otherwise, MP is down, your MP communication is not working,
Yeah.
there is some firewall in between, and that particular firewall is blocking some communication. That could be other reason, right?
Right.
So there could be several reasons, and we can easily troubleshoot all these things using the log files, which I showed in this particular show, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it could be a certificate issue. Sometimes it could be,
Yeah,
there's so many different scenarios. But if you
true.
do see just two, it doesn't mean your SCCM client is actually working correctly. Just because you have it doesn't mean it's working. So
Exactly.
you need to troubleshoot to find out why they're not working. Maybe start with checking your boundaries, making sure your boundaries, is this client in the right boundary, um, in your console. Like Anup said, firewalls. Maybe turn off firewall on the client just to troubleshoot purposes. Um, Look at the MP. Is your MP healthy? Is it working? And so on and so forth. So it does happen. You do see it from time to time. And you do see it, posted on forums and blogs and stuff like that. So we just want to mention that as well.
It's a good
All
point.
right.
Yeah. And
So I think in the future we will do a show that we would actually go through more detail into the logs, instead of the actions, but we will talk about the different logs. Like this is the log that you would look at for this, and this is the log that you would look at for that, or kind of a thing. Uh, Microsoft has a blog where they list out all the logs uh, that are available. You can look at it that way as well, but we'll talk about it in the future.
okay. And do you want to mention about our friend?
Damien,
Um,
yes,
yeah.
yes. So our friend Damien, who writes a lot of PowerShell, and tools, all the time. They're amazing. He wrote this tool about a year or so ago, and what it does is that you can actually, if you follow his steps and use the XML file and stuff like that, you can enable these actions through the system tray in your on the client computer. So it's pretty cool, you know. He walks you through and what you need to do and how it works and stuff like that. So we will link this as well in our YouTube comment in description, and so you can check it out. But yep, another
Yeah.
community awesome tool.
Yep.
All right. So I think that's all we got today. If you have any questions, comments, or tips about client action, config manager client actions, please do let us know. Maybe we learn a thing or two from you as well. And and if you're seeing more than 11 or 12 client actions, let us know how you got those. you know,
Yep.
I'm curious to see like who has the most like actions. Please don't tell me that 20 because I haven't seen 20. But yeah, anything is possible these days.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was a good show. Thanks for the demo, Anoop, and your blogs are definitely going to be very helpful. We will link those as well in the YouTube description for you to check out. So, please subscribe, please share, please like, please give us your
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
And until next time, you know where to find us. We're on Twitter. Cheers.
Cheers.
Namaste.
Namaste.